Okay, so we have a question here that I think a lot of people would forget to do an extra check on, even if they got it right. And I just want to make sure that we hammer that home. So knowing statement one on its own tells me nothing about the area of the glass, so that's definitely insufficient. Statement two tells me nothing about the size of the table, so that is insufficient for sure. Now, if we think about how a piece of glass could be positioned to cover the entire table while being parallel to the edges of the table, it would have to be at least a little bit taller and at least a little bit wider than the table itself. So I need to know both if the height is larger and the width is larger than the height and width of the table, which we have here. Now, statement two obviously doesn't tell me anything about the height and width, except that when I multiply them together, I get 2400. So hypothetically, the height could be a height of 1, and the width could be a width of 2400, and then it definitely wouldn't be able to cover the table. So I can definitely get a no answer when I use both of the statements together to the yes-no question of can we cover the table? So the question is, can I get a yes? And this is what most people would forget to test because they'd say, oh, area doesn't tell me the dimension, so it's definitely insufficient. And that might be true, but we have to see if it's possible to cover the entire table. And we've only established that it's not possible in one scenario. So is there any scenario where it's possible? Well, if you look at the orange depiction over here, if the height is taller and the width is wider, then the area of the glass is definitely going to be larger than the area of the table. Now, do we know if that's true? Well, we know the area of the table. So area of the table is equal to 36 times 60. And 30 times 60 is equal to 3 times 6 is 18 with 2 zeros. And then 6 times 60 is equal to 36 with 1 zero. And if we add these together, we get the total area of 36 times 60, which gives me a 2160 for the total area. So the area of the table is 2160, which means it is possible in some scenario to cover it with this glass. If the glass has exactly perfect dimensions, and if we look at this, we could make it 40 by 60, and that would give us 2400. And that would cover the entire table, and it would have edges parallel. The edges will be parallel if we set it so that the corners are situated right angle to right angle. But it is possible, and this would give us a yes answer. So because we are able to, and we also found a situation in which we could not, we don't know what the dimensions are, so we can't tell if it is or is not possible. But until we checked and made sure that there is a yes scenario, we didn't know if it might always be no, in which case it would have been sufficient. But because we got a yes and a no answer to the same question, I don't know if the answer to the question is yes or no. That makes the entire thing insufficient, which gives me an answer choice of E.